One day on the island of Sodor, Edward was angry with Hank because Hank was on his bad behaviour. "Help me just at once," said Edward, "because of those silly trucks."
"Huh," grumbled Hank. "Who needs you? I am no helpful."
So he banged the trucks, and the trucks came off the rails, and the deliveries just fallen off, and made herself upside down. So Edward was now on a very cross engine with him. "Oi," he said, "there's no need for what you can sometimes act." "Oi," he said, "there's no need to be naughty," he said. "Stop being such a naughty lad," he said.
"Who needs you?" grumbled Hank. "I am no good engine at all. I don't need smelly old engines."
Edward steamed away and puffed sadly. He was feeling very upset with Hank. While Hank was ready to go, just then he saw Max racing by.
"Out of the way," said Hank. "What?" "Hey," said Max, "my way," and he saw Thomas. He was going to go on his line. "Out of my way," said Hank. "Hey," said Thomas, "take it easy." But Hank ignored him. He was a very naughty engine now. The engines did not like his bad behaviour, so they cannot not do so at all. Hank was steaming up the Grand Canyon while his driver felt sorry for those engines. "You better apologize," he said. "Shut up," grumbled Hank, and blew steam at his driver and fireman. "Oi," they said, but Hank knocked him off, and they fell down and fell down and came off, and they fell down into the pit below where the Grand Canyon belongs, and they banged their arms and legs, and now they did have to go to hospital at all. Just then Hank was so cross he went on a wrong line, and the wrong line was that it was the same disaster he caused this morning. And then he saw the brown brake van and battered it and crunched it into pieces while Hank was steaming through the crash. "Grr, grr, grr," grumbled Hank. Grr, 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 grumbled Hank. "I am the greatest engine on Sodor," he said. "Out of my way, foolish things," he said, and battered the same truck what he pushed off the rails, and steamed into a different line, and smashed the slate cars in pieces. "Hank," said Thumper, "it's dangerous." "Shut up," said Hank, and was going backwards and backwards. Just then he was steaming in, and suddenly he bumped, and suddenly he broke something. He broke some bigger rocks from the Boulder Mountain, and suddenly they accidentally fell down they fell down into the quarry mine below, and Boulder raced down the mountain, and it squashed the workmen, and it began to hurt them, and it banged one on the head. "Ow," they said. "Ow," they said. "You naughty engine," said Thumper. Suddenly Hank didn't know that Kevin was on the tracks,
and he had broken down and couldn't move. "Help," said Kevin, but Hank was so naughty, he battered Kevin he battered Kevin, and Kevin was damaged and fell down into a ditch. Hank was so cross, and he pushed himself off the rails. "Bother," grumbled Hank. The Fat Controller was cross. He did not like this at all. "I will deal with you later," he said. And the mess was cleaned up, and Hank was back on the rails. He had been very naughty indeed today. Night came, and Hank finally arrived at the sheds, and the Fat Controller was already there. "You have been a very naughty engine today, and I do not like engines acting like this on my railway," he said. "Sorry, sir," said Hank. "Next time you will behave well like a better engine." And poor Hank, feeling upset, was grounded in the sheds again, and the Fat Controller went back into his car and drove away. He was feeling very annoyed, and Hank was so lucky he was grounded in the sheds again. First is when he crashed into the Fat Controller's house, and second, he had been a very bad engine and crashed into that old tunnel with some troublesome trucks, and third, that he has been a very bad engine again. And he'll never learn his lesson now, don't he?